Well, good morning, everyone, and I hope everyone is having the first few days of school. For government, just your independent learning will be basically focusing on a recap of the first chapter. And if you have not completed the work, please finish that as soon as you can. First thing we're talking about in this first chapter, we're just focusing on the nature of power, politics, and government. And it's really important nowadays, and it's always been important. Don't let people say it hasn't. That you should care about politics, power, and government. So the question is, and for today and for later, when you get into your flip grid, you're going to answer the question: why should you care about politics, government, and power, politics, and government? So think about that question as you have read this chapter, which is very brief to begin with, but it's a nice little introductory into getting your mind into ideas about power and government and that relationship between the two, power and government, and politics as well. So in this lesson, you basically learn about why you should care about power and how it connects to the study of government in this class. The goal of this class is for you to understand the relationship between government and the people, and we see it very clearly in today's world, especially considering we have several things going on in the United States. The coronavirus, obviously, is the big one, with how the government has responded or has not responded. And also, starting in May, the protests demanding equality and justice and against police brutality and police violence and all that. You have seen in many cities across the country react differently to protests. You have seen the government in the United States respond differently to the coronavirus pandemic. And you have seen some states open sooner, like in Texas and Florida, whereas Illinois, for example, here in Illinois where we live, they did not they haven't even fully reopened, but they've moved into phase 4 at the end of June. So throughout this course, you'll learn about the American system of politics and government, as well as the power you have to influence and participate in that system. And you've seen it in the way that every state has kind of reacted differently to these crises. And that's kind of what characterizes the American system of politics. So here's some important terms you need to understand about this. Power as a term is often defined as the ability to make people act in ways they may not otherwise choose to act. For example, if I'm driving, I'm going to drive at a certain speed limit because I do not want to get a ticket. That's power over me. The power to influence others comes from many sources, from formal authority to coercion. Historically, rulers have used power for both good and ill. And we've seen it in our history, where you've seen, Nazism and Germany, they used that power for horrible things. But you also seen, examples where, yes, they have power. For example, the governor of Illinois shut down many of the businesses in April and May, and it did exact pain, but it was able to lower the virus, the curve, as they say, flatten the curve. I'm sorry. Governments are groups of people organize government to maintain order and provide public goods such as road and national defense. To fulfill these functions, government must have the means to coerce the population and to extract revenue from it. And then finally, politics. When people work to influence the decisions made by groups, they are engaging in politics. Political activity is purposeful and involves collective action. Because politics involves competition, it is often described as a game. And that's what you're going to learn in this chapter. As we head further into the chapter, there are several games that are played by politicians because not everyone's going to agree on everything. So it's a give and take. And that's the thing that I think we've forgotten a lot in government today is that, it's not just my way or the highway. I'm going to do everything. We're going to do everything I want. Throughout history, it's always been games where you trade something for others. You're not going to come out happy, but if you can get most of what you want approved, then you'll be fine. You'll be okay with that. So here are the 5 sources of power. Legitimate powers. Power comes from the power holder's position and duties, such as the president or the mayor or the town president or the town manager. And then you have expertise. Power derives from power holders' specific expertise, such as right now with the coronavirus, we are depending on the guidance from scientists, such as Dr. Fauci and all these other people in Illinois, Dr. Ngagne. So those doctors are experts, and they're telling us, yes, you should reopen schools, or you should not reopen schools, or you should reopen these type of businesses. Referent power comes from the power holder's ability to persuade others to identify with them. So you see that a lot with priests sometimes, and and ministers. They have a huge influence on people's spiritual lives, and they do play a role in our society, like, believing in certain things, and rewards such as money, responsibility, and praise and value. So, for example, if you work hard and you do a job, the power that people have over you is that, oh, we'll give you a raise, or maybe even in classroom. Yeah, I have some authority, some power, and if you do everything you want, if you do everything that I ask you to do, the reward is you get good grades. Maybe we'll have a pizza party, whatever the case is. And then finally, coercion is basically power springs from the powers of holders' ability to punish or penalize others. Such as I mentioned earlier in my example, if I were to get pulled over by the police, that they have power over me because I was speeding. He got me with this radar gun, and that's it. So because of that, I have to I drive safer and I don't speed, uh, wherever I want or whenever I want. So here's some of the vocabulary, and you'll be answering some of this right now as you go into that puzzle in your video here. It's always remember these words: authority, government, power, legitimacy, public good. These are all words that you need to be familiar with, especially authority, government, power, legitimacy. And all these are going to be reoccurring throughout the whole course, the whole semester. Nation state, sovereignty, that's a huge one: sovereignty, politics, and institution. So as you finish up the assignments for this week, make sure you complete all the work. You do all the assignments and you do the assessment on Flipgrid. That will be due on Friday. Complete as much as you can, and hope everyone has a good day. Thank you.